95.7 The Game.
Okay, I know that Warrior fans are trying to keep your heads in the sands. The Big Bad Suns are in town, but yeah, there's a game tonight. And one of their voices, John Bloom, is on his way to the studio right now, a good friend of mine. He'll pop in here in about an hour before today's Warriors game. Tune into 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, brought to you by Xfinity Sports Zone, the ultimate hub for all things sports, with live games, shows, news, and highlights all in one place. And reminder, Willard and Dibs is brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. Speaking of the people calling the games, here comes our good buddy Dave Flemming on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic. To what level? I wonder what the last, month, 6 weeks for you was like as you were planning for a season that we didn't know if it was going to happen or when. And now here we are in spring training and clubhouses are open and everything. I mean, to what level do you have a feeling that everything we've been through the last 2 years is over? And I say that as a question.
I've learned never to say that it's over.
Yeah.
If there's one lesson of these last 2 years, who the heck knows? But I do, it's amazing, not just the COVID stuff, but the lockout. There was a lot of anxiety. I tried to stay calm, but people that I trust and know, there was a lot of anxiety around the game about, man, how long is this going to be a disaster? Is this going to? And I have to say that maybe not for everybody, all is forgiven, but it sure feels like that's just in the rearview mirror, and people have moved on and are legitimately excited about the baseball season, which makes me feel really great. I think we're going to have an excellent year. I think fans are pumped, and even though those few weeks and even few months were pretty ugly, and it was not fun to follow baseball news, the last month has largely been really exciting for people. So I think everybody's raring to go.
And hope springs eternal, Dave. The old expression, I think, fits for baseball more than any other sport, because once the bunting comes out and baseball is back in the Bay, we all get excited. And how excited should we be for the composition of this Giants team?
We should be excited. This is going to be another good Giants team. I think the Giants have a formula that doesn't properly get rated by these projection systems. I know people are sort of wringing their hands about the projection systems have the Giants at 84 wins or 82 wins. How is that possible? What's going on with that? I think the way that the Giants want to build a team just isn't conducive to being properly rated by a lot of those systems. So I think the Giants are going to be really good again. Obviously, it's not been a positive week on the injury front, but the whole way the Giants build their team is to account for this, and they're not panicking. It's easy to panic when you get some bad news like, oh, my God, Longoria and Wade and now Estella and Bell, what's going on with Belt's knee. The Giants just don't operate that way. They build in the structure to account for all this, whether it happens the first week of the year or the 15th week of the year. So I think that's the whole idea behind how the Giants built this team. Everybody should be feeling like this is going to be another really fun year.
So, Dave, we've almost now come to expect there will be some players by the end of the year we love who we didn't even know at the start of the year. Can you give us a couple of candidates, a few names?
Hey, I'll give you a name that I don't know whether he's going to get the opportunity yet or whether, because spring training can be deceptive. And I've learned over the years it's really hard to evaluate spring training production. But there's an outfielder, a guy named Luis Gonzalez, not that Luis Gonzalez, obviously. And every time I've watched him play this spring, I've been impressed. Quality of at-bat, really good. Super idea of the strike zone, kind of that starter set of Lamont Wade and some of the other players that the Giants have identified the last few years. That's a name I would file away. I think he's a totally under the radar player who can help this team. Now, again, I've been deceived before by spring training, but just eye test, man, that guy, every single time I've seen him this spring, looks the part to me. So we'll see if he gets an opportunity, if there's a spot for him somewhere down the line, but he's somebody that I think could help this team.
Has your eye test kind of changed with the Gabe Kapler, Farhan Zaidi era in that you're now looking for players who are more prone to look for power first and not worry so much about the strikeouts and the walks?
What I'm really in tune to now on both sides, pitching and hitting, is the strike zone. I mean, I think what the Giants, way more than anything else that they emphasize, what the Giants emphasize is, as a pitcher, pounding the strike zone, not giving anything for free, and as a hitter, not giving the pitcher something for free by chasing outside of the strike zone. And really, in a lot of ways, that's how I evaluate baseball players now, based on the last couple of years of being around these guys, because I think that's how they do it. If they see a player who controls the strike zone on either side, they like that player. And I've come to their side of it. I mean, I really have. And so it's amazing how, I used to focus way more on whether it's tools, and tools are still really important. I mean, you got to evaluate athleticism and does the guy just have the pure physicality to succeed at the highest level? But that's what I look for more than anything else now.
Dave Flemming with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Dave, we're all waiting for that homegrown talent to show up and start producing. What are you expecting from Joey Bart this year? Is Elliot Ramos in their plans? Are there others we're not thinking about?
That's a lot of questions.
Right, sorry about that.
Take them one at a time, Dave.
Can you go through the whole farm system, player by player, Dave, please? Thank you. Start with AAA.
Brain power here, Mark. Yep. Come on. I would say that Joey Bart has been a real positive this spring. I mean, obviously, that is the number one question for the Giants this year. Is Buster Posey was not just an all-time great player for the Giants. It's an enormous hole to fill. They're not going to fill it with Joey Bart. They're not going to fill it with anybody. He's the greatest catcher in the history of the Giants. That guy is not coming along again anytime soon. But they need to get solid production from that spot, and I think they're on track to get it. I've been impressed. I think everybody down there, everybody that I've heard from has spoken to Joey's focus, his attitude, his enthusiasm with working with pitchers. To me, it's the one position where those intangibles that I think often get overwrought are really important. And I think he's passed those tests this spring. He also looks to be a guy who's a little more comfortable with his swing. He's going to tap into some of that power. I mean, if Joey hits 15 home runs and is a good, solid defensive catcher that people like working with, huge win for the Giants this year. That's all that the Giants need from him, and I think he's on track to do that. So I've been impressed by him. Elliott's got all the physical ability in the world, and I do think that there's going to be an opportunity for him this year at the big league level. If he just goes down and proves to them, again, going back to my point about controlling the strike zone, if he just proves that, okay, he's going to come up and swing at the right pitches, they're going to give him a chance. So that's what's to look for early in the year with Ramos, because he's physically there. He's ready to go. He looks the part. He looks more confident up there. So I think Ramos is going to help the Giants this year. Is there anybody else? The Giants system is still weighted to younger players. It's still the minor league system is still mostly weighted to players who are a little farther away. Sean Jelly's impressed me. I think he's going to take some starts this year because his numbers last year when he made the leap up to an upper level were not good. And there's something weird about Jelly where he's 6'11", he throws pretty hard, he's got really good command, and he doesn't generate swings and misses. And so that's kind of concerning, but I think the Giants are working hard with him. I think he's going to get a chance to contribute.
Dave, you remembered all the questions.
Yeah, well, I have a little notepad here, and I was trying to quickly scribble them down.
Good job, Dave. Good job.
Yeah, I got it.
He's a pro's pro, and Dave Flemming here on 95.7 The Game. I know you're doing Giants play-by-play. You've done a ton of other stuff. Is it true? Are you going to go back to Augusta and the Masters? And if so, how much would you anticipate Tiger Woods maybe being in the field?
I am leaving on Monday to go back there. I'll be there for the tournament, and I can't wait. And maybe my old freshman dorm mate is going to tee it up. Wouldn't that be something? I I sure hope so. I mean, just in terms of pure theater and excitement, it would be something else. I'm still a little skeptical, but there's no way he'd be there testing it out if he didn't think it was a possibility. So, the one thing about the Masters is you're not taking somebody else's spot. The field can expand and contract, but it's not like there's alternates who are waiting around to take his spot. So he doesn't. I think pro golfers, even a guy like Tiger, are sensitive about that. Like, man, if I say I'm going to play, and then on the fourth fairway on Thursday morning, the leg just isn't feeling right, and I got to bow out, then I took somebody else's spot. The Masters is the one place where that's not a consideration. So maybe he just feels like there's not really a downside in terms of impacting anybody else if I give it a go.
That's true, and I can't help but not allow you to gloss over freshman dorm mate.
Right.
I mean, we forget about the Stanford connection. Any freshman dorm memories between you and Tiger? Maybe putting down the hall, or other tips you may have given him along the way that helped young Eldrick.
He did putt down the hall. I didn't give him any tips. He every once in a while would break out the putter in the hallway. I remember, we used to watch Monday Night Football together because when you're in college, you don't watch much TV. At least I hardly watched any TV while I was in college. But the main sort of like common area around dinner time had a TV, and that was on Monday nights. The game would be on. And I remember there was a game, Montana had gone to the Chiefs, I think, and he played Elway and the Broncos in a Monday night game that was like a really great game. I remember watching that game. Isn't that funny why would my brain remember that? But somehow I do. Tiger, when he used to drive us around in his car, R. Kelly was a popular CD in the car CD
Wow.
player. I remember that about Tiger. I mean, Tiger and I were friendly. We weren't like best friends, but he was friends with everybody. Tiger was the most serious 18-year-old that I'd ever come across. I mean, the guy's focus and intensity, even on just normal everyday tasks, was incredible. And you knew the guy was destined for great things, not just because of his ability, but because the rest of us were busy being total knuckleheads. And this guy was grinding it out every day on a schedule that began really early in the morning and went till late at night. And I admired that about him, because the rest of us, even the high level athletes that were around us, didn't seem to have that kind of focus and intensity.
He drove you guys around. What kind of car do you have?
It wasn't like a fancy car.
Okay.
It was like a Mazda or a Nissan sedan or something like that. And Tiger, another little nugget, he'd probably be mad at me for saying this, but he was a slob. Like, that was the one thing that he had with the rest of us. Like, the car had cups everywhere on the floor, and his dorm room was the worst. We had a freshman dorm that was beat up and old, and when we showed up on campus, they told us, which, imagine being an 18-year-old and coming to school, and they tell you, now this dorm is going to be renovated at the end of the year, so in essence, you can trash it, because the whole place is going to be torn apart. So we trashed it.
So you did.
It was, at the end of the year, it was brutal.
October 17th, 1994, Elway versus Montana.
Oh, Dibs looked up the game. Yeah, there it is.
Isn't that amazing? That was my freshman fall. That's pretty amazing. And so Tiger his room was you didn't want to hang out in Tiger's room. His roommate was a guy named Bjorn, who was a great guy from my home state, from Virginia. And the two of them together, the room didn't get cleaned very often.
Wow.
Wait
a minute. Was Bjorn a friend of his, or did Tiger go through the process like everybody else and just meet his dorm mate when he arrived?
Oh, like everybody else. I mean,
really?
At Stanford, you have zero say, no matter what high-level athlete you are. When you show up on campus, you get randomly paired with somebody. That's how it works, period.
Can you imagine? You're like, I'm going to go meet my dorm mate. Like, hi, my name's Tiger Woods.
No, and Tiger wasn't even, in our class, we had Fred Savage, who was the star of the Wonder Years. Reese Witherspoon was a year or two ahead of us.
Wow.
Danny Pintaro was a movie star or a TV star who was in our class.
Yep.
And all those guys, and there were some other high level Olympic style athletes, swimmers, and tennis players. There was a couple of really great tennis players in our class who were famous in that world. All of them got paired with total randoms CS majors from Peoria, Illinois, or whatever. That's how it works.
Do you think Fred Savage is cruising around these days going, do you know that I was in the dorms with Dave Flemming?
I don't believe he is.
Okay, you should.
I'll tell him that next time. I haven't seen him in a long time. The other guy who was in our class, now I'm just name dropping here.
This is incredible. It's incredible.
But when we came back for our 20th reunion a few years ago, there's this guy, and I wish I were more familiar with his work, but his name is Sterling Brown, and he's the star of, is it This Is Us? Is that the show on NBC? That's become like sort of a real, and this guy, man, at the reunion, he was the one everybody wanted to be around him. He was Mr. Popular. Like I sort of was looking at him, go, forget Tiger and Fred and all the rest of these guys. This is the guy.
Well, not only, This Is Us, and he was also, for people who watched it, he was Chris Darden in The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Oh, he was great in that.
Yeah.
He was awesome in that. Great.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean,
wow.
Dave, you're doing play-by-play for a major league team, but you might be ranked like 11th on the popularity scope on your own dorm.
Oh, and we had the athletes were incredible too. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. 11th would be high. And those people weren't all in my dorm,
right?
But they were all in our freshman class. Tiger was in our dorm. Fred Savage was like the hall over.
I can't believe they knocked the dorm down after that. They should turn it into a museum.
They didn't knock it down. They just renovated
it.
My brother came to Stanford a few years later, and he was in the same dorm. That's a hallowed dorm, Larkin, on the campus of Stanford University.
Clearly.
Lots gone on at Larkin over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, great place.
Well,
Stanford dorm stories with Dave Flemming.
When's your book coming out, Dave? When's the book coming out? That is incredible.
What a segment. I'm sure the Bay Area is just riveted right now.
I think they are, but I know I am.
Quietly, the YouTube and the Twitch feeds are exploding right now.
Dave, great stuff. And good luck with the 748 things you're going to broadcast until the next time we talk.
I do have a lot going on right now this time of year. Tomorrow I'm going down to Arizona, and I'm working the game Friday, working the game Saturday before I go to the Masters. And tomorrow, next time we talk, I am going to go over and tour the new minor league facility over at Papago Park, which I hear is just spectacular. I mean, the Giants spent an insane amount of money to make this like the greatest training facility in baseball. So I can't wait to go over there and see it.
Amazing. Great stuff. Dave, we always love it. Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you guys. We'll do it, I'm sure, I hope, plenty during the season.
Yes, as soon as possible. Thanks so much. There he is, Dave Flemming, with nothing short of a completely epic conversation. I'm sorry. That was absolutely insane.
He has a great ability to both brag and be humble at the same time. Well, and that's hard to do.